Hi, thank you for joining me on 8 I Am Maggie. So what we are doing here is we are doing a slow crawl through this beautiful book, Excuses Be Gone by Dr. Wayne Dyer. And we are doing this book. Why are we doing this? Because it's how to change lifelong self-defeating thinking habits. And I just want to encourage you that if you are having a hard time right now, as many people are, like many of us are, I want to encourage you to continue to do the work. Sometimes one of the things that will come up you'll be reminded constantly of how you are broken or imperfect, or how you're this bad person and you're in the process of working on yourself to move into transform into your new person. And a lot of times that's going to keep coming up. You can either self-sabotage, or that self-sabotage is going to then also come from the outside. But I want to encourage you that if you keep doing the work will do you. And you would eventually be able to fully release from the old paradigm, which is a lot of what Wayne Dyer was really trying to help. Pretty much every spiritual teacher that I've been recommending, they genuinely loved people. Like there's a scripture in the Bible where Jesus, seeing the masses and seeing their loss, seeing their pain, seeing their spirituality in peril, seeing their mental anguish, it says that he was moved to compassion and that he wanted to help. And so many, I've been reading the autobiography of a yogi with Yogananda. And, here are people who are on their search for God, and maybe not always perfect, but we're also striving to touch the God self within and to fully purify thyself. So if you are finding it hard to transform and change, I want to encourage you. If you are constantly being reminded that you are a failure and that you're a bad person or you're all these things, I want to continue to encourage you. Like this book, Excuses Be Gone, is a book on how to change lifelong self-defeating thinking habits by Dr. Wayne Dyer. It is a book on purpose. We also did Maria Zeppe's book, The Miracle of Everyday Life, another great woman that everything she did was to work to help heal those breaks in a person, like so-called the good and bad side. We all have our good and bad sides. And it's very important that we begin to cultivate environments where we are with people that help us to cultivate the good within us. Now, this is not to blame, hold on a second. Sometimes it's really, really difficult to face yourself or to face stressful situations. And so sometimes we can blame. And in that process, what is the blaming actually about? Well, the blaming a lot of times is because you can't handle the responsibility, or you can't handle the situation, or you're fearful of the situation, or maybe you've been abused, or you've had trauma, or you've had bad things happen that have enforced a type of mental, spiritual, emotional, and physical type of fear. So you're actually afraid to take responsibilities for things or to be seen in not a good light, because you ultimately have that wired into your DNA, and it can be wired in for generations. If you look at slavery, or you look at any culture that's been oppressed or suppressed, that fear is in there. There's also, they talk about the spiritual persecution, where somebody may have spoke up for God's word, or to speak up for somebody and that person got killed. There's lots of reasons, but I want to just encourage you that as we are transforming, we want to see ourselves, see our reality. We want to be forgiving and kind to ourselves and our reality, but also to be kind to others. And as we are navigating these dark, murky places, we want to know, not blame, because that blame actually protects our ego. So then that holds whatever negative pattern we don't want in place. It is to escape like guilt, shame, fear, whatever bad. So when you catch yourself wanting to blame, try to look, at like, what is actually going on here? What am I afraid of? What am I trying to escape? What feeling do I feel I can't breathe, be or feel? I would say in that point, it's really important to breathe and shake that feeling out of the body. Breathe that feeling out of the body. Of course, you're not going to be in the middle of the workplace doing this in front of people. Excuse yourself to the bathroom and take that time in meditation and prayer to like excavate these things. And also one of the things too is when we blame others, we begin to project. And as we project onto them, they have feelings of that fear, that guilt, that shame, or whatever it is. So today I would just like to, I'm going to get into this reading, but I just want to continue to encourage you that nobody is perfect and we are all on a journey. And if you do the work will do you. It's just important that we begin to find out where are these places of needed excavating, cleansing, where are we projecting, where are we blaming? Look at these things and ask God, our Creator, to help us clean it up, but also take the actions that we need to step in the right direction, and also to forgive self and others. I've just learned that once that blame game starts, you realize no one is listening and nothing more than more pain is going to occur. That usually both sides have their right points, and they also are not, they're blocked in seeing the other person's points. And once that begins to happen, there's no resolution. So we are really wanting to work towards uplifting the planet. As Brian Scott taught today about momentum, as we take one step, we're going to be building that momentum into living in those higher order values. So I want to encourage you wherever you are in the spectrum, be encouraged, don't give up. If you are meeting a lot of resistance, or if you are having created challenges, like maybe you're doing things yourself or others are doing things that are making the situation more complex, I just want to encourage you to stay the path, keep going, and do not give up. Because eventually, the God within you will you will be filled completely with the Spirit of the living God. And as that happens, less of the crap can operate through you. So, all right, so we are in the fifth question. And the fifth question we were asking is, can I create a rational reason to change? And so we're at the end of the chapter now. The subtitle is Suggestions for Applying the Fifth Paradigm Question. Do a unique inventory. So this is interesting. Do a unique inventory of yourself, an honest assessment of what lifelong thinking patterns you'd like to change. Even if you haven't a clue as to how you could possibly bring this about, the more firmly entrenched the path in your mind, the better. Now, without even considering how you're going to put this change into effect, ask yourself the first three criteria in this chapter and eliminate any that don't measure up. 1. If it doesn't make sense to you, but everyone around you is telling you that it's the right thing to do, erase it from your inventory. 2. By being brutally honest with yourself, determine if, given the conditions of your life and how well you know yourself, this thing is truly doable. You may not know how to do it, but you can still assess if it's in fact something that's possible for you. And if it isn't, then discard it. 3. Picture yourself as being free of your habituated way of being, totally disconnected from the habit. And if that idea doesn't make you feel good, I mean really good, then it's not you. So clean out the inventory of habits you'd like to break and excuses you'd like to see vanish based upon the criteria for having a rational reason to change. You'll be left with several lifetime thinking habits that make sense, are doable, and leave you feeling good. Try putting on one of the habits from your inventory to test the excuses begone paradigm. After doing so, you might not even recognize the person you used to be. And I know that when I think of some of the old habits I've freed myself from, such as drinking diet sodas, eating greasy food, not exercising, procrastinating on deadlines, always being rushed, speaking out, talking over others rather than listening, not taking health supplements, and being right rather than kind, and so on, I've noticed how much I've changed, and that those old tiresome excuses never seem to crop up anymore. Really examine your habits, along with all of the excuses you've adopted, and explain to yourself. And then ask yourself a simple question. Do these make me feel good? If the answer is no, then it's incumbent upon you to begin the process of making decisions that do in fact make you feel good. It's the same as aligning with the callings of your soul, because feeling good does indeed lift you into alignment with the calling of your soul. So say aloud, I intend to feel good, and anything that I think or do that interfaces with this intention must, out of necessity, be shelved permanently. So if you're finding anything that you're self-sabotaging yourself with or that you're aware of, we're putting it on the shelf. We're letting it go today. You're allowed to feel good. It is your birthright. You emerge from the total bliss of oneness, God, if you will, into this human experience. According to the Tao Te Ching, all being comes from non-being. I urge you to feel your innate goodness by eliminating the limitations that have kept you from experiencing the good feeling that you had before beingness and what you will have after beingness as well. So sometimes too, if you've had like negative excuses or negative experiences or abuse or trauma, or you've had like a sickness, sometimes you get hardwired into like, instead of learning it's good to feel good, you learn that it's bad to feel good. So for anybody having that right now, I would just like to invite in. We can never not invite God in. He is in us, and he's everywhere around us. But I would just like to invite in the healing of this, if this is the case for anyone listening to my voice. Let us just be cleansed of this now. And God, we just ask you to help us, God within me, to help me be able to feel good, and that is good to feel good. It is good for me to feel good, and it is good for you to feel good. And as you know, I always say this, but we are talking higher order values. We don't do things to harm others. We're not, you know what I mean. It's higher order values, so that kind of feeling good. Okay, and so it's not a license to just do whatever to feel good. We know that that doesn't work. We are here to be in higher order values, holding that space in a good place so that we may all feel a godly goodness. So I urge you to feel your innate goodness by eliminating the limitations that have kept you from experiencing the good feelings you had before beingness and what you will have after beingness as well. Just stating, I intend to feel good, is a powerful and rational reason for living an excuses-free life. Use reason in eradicating excuses and habitual behavior. And as Benjamin Franklin wrote in Poor Richard's Almanac in 1753, When reason preaches, if you don't hear her, she'll box your ears. Listen up or cover your ears. Okay, and also on that note, I want to just add this in there too. As we are transforming, sometimes it can be a difficult process, either due to our self-beliefs, meaning we are the creator, right? We are the first cause. So I just want to remind you that the place that Jesus was able to perform the least miracles was in his hometown, because they didn't believe. There was no faith. And so you're looking at, I'm not saying he couldn't if he wanted to push over things, but I'm just saying, like, all of us need to remember too that we may be walking into difficult situations as we transform, where we're not believed or supported, or there's no faith, and someone is trying to continuously hold you into the old man. Well, I want to just take this moment right now also to invite the Creator in. We never cannot invite the Creator in, because God is with us always. But I just ask for specific healing in this area now, that we see ourselves as God sees us, and that God sees us, and that others see us as God sees us, so that we may all be resonating at a energy, frequency, and vibration of health, wealth, and love, and the higher order values. So our hearts are full of love and not spite and hate and envy, and that our hearts aren't blaming, but are able to fully fill the cup of God and be in healthy relationships and situations. Well, I'm just hoping this is encouraging you, and I'm grateful for you spending the time with me. When you do get a chance, please hit that like and subscribe and leave your positive comments. I really, really appreciate you. And also, if you didn't get a chance, just one more thing. Billy Carson, Elizabeth Hoekstra, Tim Story, Anatonia, they had a wonderful conference this past weekend, Manifest Your Destiny. And if you didn't get to see it, please go on to Forbidden Knowledge and, get their TV subscription and check it out. It was very powerful and transformative. And, as we're all going through this, expect, dips in the road. But remember, if you keep doing the work will do you. And just continue to support yourself with the most positive people, environments, foods, teachings, everything that you can. All right, thank you. And you know what's next. Oh, and one more thing. We finished the chapter. All right, and one more note. Imagine wisely. All right, peace in. Peace.